Sipurei masios, the burger and the pauper. 10th story. Once there was a great burgher, a member of the prosperous merchant class in medieval Europe, who was extremely wealthy. He had quite a large amount of merchandise, and his notes and letters went out all over the world. He had the best of everything. Below him lived a pauper. He was extremely poor, and the complete opposite of the wealthy burgher in every respect. That is, their positions were reversed. Just as the burgher had great wealth, so the pauper in parallel had great poverty. Both of them were childless. The burgher was childless, and so also the pauper was childless. Once the burgher dreamed that people had come to his house and were packing up packages and packages. "What are you doing?" he asked. "We are bringing everything to the pauper," they replied. That is, the pauper who lived under him. He very much resented this and was very disturbed, since they wanted to carry all his wealth away to the pauper, and he could not dissuade them with his anger, since there were so many people involved. The strangers made packages of everything, including all his merchandise, his wealth, and his property. They carried everything to the pauper's house, not leaving anything except the bare walls. Not leaving anything except the bare walls. He was very, very upset. Then he woke up and realized that it had all been a dream. However, even after he realized that it had been nothing but a dream, and thank God everything was still in his possession, his heart beat with great apprehension. The dream upset him very much, and he could not get it out of his mind. And now regarding the pauper and his wife, he was long accustomed to caring for them, giving them whatever he could. Now after the dream, he began caring for them even more than before. However, whenever the poor man or his wife came to his house, his expression would change, and he would be very frightened, because he would recall the dream. And they, that is the pauper and his wife, were frequent visitors of his, and would go into him often. Once, when the pauper's wife came to visit him, and he gave her what he gave, his expression changed, and he appeared very frightened and confused. "I beg your pardon," the woman said, "but could you tell me what is that reason that whenever we come to you, your expression changes very much?" He told her the whole incident about his dream, and how ever since his heart was full of apprehension. So she mentioned a certain date and asked, "Did the dream take place on that night?" "Yes," he replied. "What does it mean?" "What does it mean?" "On that night I also had a dream." She said, I dreamed that I was very wealthy, and that people came to my house making packages and packages. I asked them where they were carrying them, and they replied to the pauper they were referring to the burgher. But now they already called on the pauper. "Why do you pay attention to any dream? Why do you pay attention to a dream? I also had a dream." Hearing her dream, the burgher was all the more frightened and confused. It seemed that his wealth and property were destined to be brought to the pauper, and that the pauper's poverty was to be brought to him. He was extremely frightened. One day, the burgher's wife took a trip by coach. She took with her other women, and she also took the pauper's wife. And they went on their excursion. While traveling, a general and his army passed through. They turned off the road as the army passed. The general saw that woman were traveling, and he gave orders that one of them should be taken. His men went and took out the pauper's wife, forcing her into the general's coach. They then left with her. There was no way that she could be rescued, since they were soon far away. Besides, the general was with an army, so the general took her and brought her back to his land. And she was very God-fearing. She refused to listen to any of his entreaties and wept very much. They implored her and wooed her, but she remained extremely God-fearing. And she, the burgher's wife, and the other women returned from their trip, and the pauper's wife was gone. And the pauper wept very much, beating his head against the wall in anguish, and mourning for his wife incessantly. One day the burgher passed by the pauper's house, and heard the poor man crying so bitterly, and beating his head against the wall, he went in and asked, "Why are you weeping so?" "Why shouldn't I weep?" he replied. "What do I have left? Some people have wealth or children, but I have nothing at all. Now my wife was also taken from me, so what do I have left?" The burgher's heart was deeply touched, And he had great pity on the pauper, seeing his bitterness, his great sorrow. That he and the burgher did something reckless. It was really utter madness. It was really utter madness. He went and made inquiry as to where the general lived and traveled there, and he did something highly reckless. He went right into the general's house. And the general had guards there, but the burgher, because he was in an altered state, was oblivious to everything. He paid no attention to the guards whatsoever, and the guards were also very shocked and became very confused. Since they saw a person approaching in such a wild manner, they were very shocked. How did he get here? And because of their panic, the guards did not challenge him. And he was able to pass through all the guards until he got into the general's quarters, to the place where the pauper's wife was lying. He went over to her and woke her up. "Come," he said. When she saw him, she was confused and frightened. "Come with me immediately," he told her. She went with him, and again they passed all the guards until they were outside. Only then did he come round, and only then did he realize what he had done, such a reckless thing. He realized that there would soon be a great outcry. Yeah, and so it was. There was a great outcry from the general's men. The burgher went and hid himself in a pit full of rainwater until the uproar died down. He remained in this pit with her for 2 days. He saw the great sacrifice that he had made for her, as well as the great suffering he endured for her. She swore to God that all of her good fortune and success, it was possible that she would have some good fortune, perhaps great importance and success. She would not withhold from the burgher, even if he wanted to take all her success and greatness, so that she would be just as she was originally. She would withhold nothing from him. But how could witnesses be found in such a place? She took the pit as a witness. After 2 days he left with her. Then he went further, and he went with her further and further, and he understood that there in that place she was also being sought. This time he went and hid himself in a ritual bath with her. Again she thought about the great sacrifice and suffering that he had endured for her. She made the same oath as before, that all of her good fortune, etc., taking the ritual bath as a witness, they also remained there for approximately 2 days. They then left and went further. Again he understood that a search was being made for her, made here also. Again he understood that a search was being made here also. So again he hid with her, each time in another place. In 7 different places of water, there were the pit and ritual bath mentioned above, a pool, a spring, a stream, a river and a lake, a pool, a spring, a stream, a river and a lake. In every place they hid, she always remembered his self-sacrifice and suffering that he endured for her sake, and always made the same oath she had made earlier. Each time taking the place as a witness, they continued traveling, each time hiding in these places, until they finally came to the sea. As soon as they reached the sea, since the burgher was a great tradesman and knew the sea lanes, he was able to make arrangements to reach his country. He traveled the journey and came home with the pauper's wife and returned her to the pauper. The joy was tremendous. The burgher, because he had done such a thing, in addition had withstood the trial with her, he had the fear of God and did not touch her. Because of this he was remembered by God, and was given in that year a son. And she too, the pauper's wife, had also resisted temptation, only both with the general and with the burgher. As a result, she was deemed worthy, and she gave birth to a daughter. The daughter was unbelievably and extraordinarily beautiful. The daughter was unbelievably and extraordinarily beautiful. It was a beauty that set her apart from the rest of humanity. Such beauty is never found among human beings. People would say she should only reach maturity. When a person is so unique, it is difficult for him to survive to maturity. Her beauty was very extraordinary, in the likes of which had never before been seen in the world. All the people would come to see her, and they were very astonished at her beauty, which was very, very extraordinary. He gave her gifts all the time. Out of their love for her, everyone sent so many gifts that the pauper became wealthy. Meanwhile, the burgher got the idea that he should contract a marriage with the pauper because of her great beauty, which was really unique. He said to himself that this might be the significance of the dreams, where that which was his was brought to the pauper, and that which was the pauper's was brought to him. The dream might mean that they should make a match between their children, and as a result of their joining, what was theirs would be intermingled, and as a result of their joining, what was theirs would be intermingled. One day, when the pauper's wife visited him, he told her of his desire that they arrange a match between their children. He suggested that through this the dreams might come true. I have also thought about this, she replied, but I could never be so bold as to discuss such a match with you. If you want it, I am certainly prepared to go along with it, and I will do nothing to hinder you. I have already sworn that I will never withhold from you any good or success that I have. The burgher's son and the pauper's daughter went to school together, learning foreign languages and the like, as was the custom there. Meanwhile, people would come to see the daughter because of her exceptional beauty, and they gave her so many gifts that the pauper became wealthy. Royal ministers also came to see her, and they were very pleased with what they saw. They realized that her beauty was unique and extraordinary, since it was beyond normal human bounds, and because of her fantastically great beauty, some ministers got the idea of contracting a marriage with the pauper. A minister who had sons very much wanted their sons to marry her. However, it would not be proper for them to marry someone of such a low station. They therefore needed to make an effort to raise the pauper's status. They arranged for the pauper to get an appointment in the emperor's service at first as a lieutenant. Afterwards, he rose higher and higher, because they hastened his promotion every time, until he rapidly rose every time higher and higher, until he became a general. At this point, the ministers wanted to go ahead and contract a marriage with him, but it was difficult, since many ministers all wanted to do this, and many had worked to secure his position, his promotions. Therefore, he could not make a match with anyone. Besides, he could not make a match with him because of the burgher, since he had already stated that his daughter should be matched with him. Once the pauper became a general, he became ever more successful. The emperor sent him into battles, and he was victorious each time. So the emperor promoted him still higher, continuously higher and higher, and he was always very successful. And the emperor died. All the citizens decided that the pauper should be the new emperor. When the ministers met, they all agreed that he would be the emperor. The man who had previously been the pauper thus became emperor. He fought wars and was very successful, since all the mazel of the world was by him, all the fortune of the world was by him, all the mazel of the world was by him, success. The man who had previously been the pauper thus became emperor. He fought wars and was very successful, conquering many lands. That's not yet, sorry. That's not one. Not yet. The man who had previously been the pauper thus became emperor. He fought wars and was very successful, conquering many lands. He fought more wars and was also victorious, continually making conquests, until all the other lands decided that they would willingly subjugate themselves to him, because they saw his great success. Since he had all the beauty in the world, as well as every possible good fortune, all the kings therefore met together and decided that he would be the emperor over the entire world, and they gave him a document written in gold letters. The emperor, that is the pauper who became emperor over all the world, now did not want to contract a marriage with the burgher, because it is not fitting for an emperor to contract a marriage with a burgher. However, his wife, the empress, refused to abandon the burgher. That is, she stood by the burgher because he risked his life on her account, etc. The emperor therefore saw that he could not make another match on account of the burgher, particularly since his wife supported him very strongly. He therefore began to devise plans against the burgher. His first move was to impoverish him. He carried out these schemes as if it were not through him at all, and he continually arranged to do him damage. An emperor certainly has this ability. He caused the burgher continually to suffer losses and business failures, until he was impoverished, a complete pauper, and she, the empress, continued to support the burgher. The emperor realized that as long as the son is alive, that is the burgher's son, it would be impossible to make another match. So he began to make efforts to do away with the burgher's son. He devised a plan to be rid of him, setting up false charges and appointing judges to try the case. The judges understood that the emperor wanted to do away with the young man, so they sentenced him to be placed in a sack and thrown into the sea. In her heart, the empress was very grieved because of this. However, even the empress could do nothing to oppose the emperor. So she went to the man whose job it was to throw the young man into the sea. She came to them and fell at their feet, pleading very much that for her sake they let him go after all. Why did he deserve to be put to death? She pleaded that they take a different prisoner who had been sentenced to death and throw him into the sea, sparing the young man. Her efforts were effective, and they swore to her that they would spare him, and they did so. They took another man and threw him into the sea. And the burgher's son they let go, go, they told him. And so he went away. The youth was already mature, so he went on his way beforehand. That is, before the young man left, the empress went and summoned her daughter. My daughter, she said, you must know that this burgher's son is your destined bridegroom. She then told her daughter the entire story of what had happened to her. The burgher sacrificed his well-being for me, and was with me together in 7 places, that is, in the 7 types of water, and every time I swore to God that I would never withhold from him anything good that I have, and took these 7 places as my witnesses. These were the pit, the ritual bath, and the other 7 types of water. Therefore you are all my good, my fortune, and my success. Therefore you are all my good, my fortune and my success. Therefore you are all my good, my fortune, and my success. Certainly you are his, and his son is your bridegroom, but your father, because of his pride, wants to kill him for no reason. I have already made an effort to save him, and I have been successful in convincing him to spare him. Therefore you must know that he is your bridegroom, and you must never agree to any other groom in the world. The daughter accepted her mother's words, because she also was God-fearing. She replied to her mother that she would certainly abide by her words. The daughter then went and sent a note to the burgher's son. While he was still in prison, she wrote that she considered herself promised to him, and that he was her destined bridegroom. She sent him a fragment of a map, drawing on it all the places where her mother had hidden with his father, which are the 7 witnesses, the pit, the ritual bath, and the other places. On it she drew pictures of the pit, a ritual bath, and the other places of water. She warned him very, very strongly that he should be very, very careful to keep this note. Then she signed her name at the bottom. After this, so it happened, the ones in charge substituted another man and left the burgher's son go, and let the burgher's son go. So he went forth. He traveled and traveled until he reached the sea, where he embarked on his ship and set out to sea. A powerful storm wind arose, carrying the ship to a desert shore. The wind was so strong that its force broke the ship up. Passengers, whoever survived, and they reached dry land. There it was a desert. So the people of the ship went in search of food. Each one tried to find something to eat. Ships did not usually pass by, since it was a desert area. Therefore they could not anticipate a ship coming and bringing them home. They went into the desert to seek food. Thus they scattered and separated. The young man went into the desert and went on until he was very far from the shore. When he decided to return, he could not. The harder he tried to get back, the more distanced he became until he himself realized that it was impossible for him to return. He therefore went on and on in the desert. He had a boat to protect himself against the wild animals in the desert. Wherever he went, he was able to find something to eat. He went on and on until he came out of the desert and arrived at a certain place. And there was an empty place, and there was water surrounded by fruit trees. He would eat of the fruit and drink of the water. He decided that he would settle in this area and remain there for as long as he lives. He realized that it would be difficult for him to return to civilization, and who knows if he would find another place as good as this. If he should leave this place and move on. Therefore he decided that he would remain there and live out the rest of his life in that spot. He found the place very good. He had the fruit to eat and water to drink. Sometimes he would go out and shoot with his bow a rabbit or deer, and he would have meat to eat. And he used to catch fish, for there were very good fish in the water. He therefore felt that it would be quite good for him to stay there for the rest of his days. And the emperor, after the sentence had been carried out on the burgher's son, and he was free of him, the emperor thought that really and truly the judgment was carried out on the young man that he was no more in the world. Now he was able to enter into a marriage contract for his daughter. Therefore, negotiations began with various kings regarding a match with her. The emperor established an appropriate estate for his daughter, and she remained there. She took the daughters of noblemen to be her companions, and she lived there. She would play musical instruments and engage in similar pastimes, as was the custom. Whenever a match was proposed to her, she always answered that she refused all talk that is about the match, but that he himself should come, the one who wants to marry her. She was very talented in the art of song, that is the skill to recite beautiful lyrics with great wisdom. With skillful artisanship, she arranged a place where they could come, that is her suitors. He would then stand facing her and recite his lyrics. These consisted of love poems, such as the words of passion that a person in love uses towards his beloved. Kings would come to court her, they would go to the place, and each would recite his poem. The daughter would answer some of them through her ladies, also with a poem full of passion. To others whom she favored more, she replied herself. She would raise her voice in song and reply with words of passion. To those whom she favored still more, she would meet them in person, revealing her face, and responded to them with poetry and affection. However, in the end, she would say to all of them, "But the waters did not pass over you." No one understood what she meant by this. Whenever she showed her face, people would fall to the ground upon seeing her great beauty. Some became sick and weak. Others went insane because of the love sickness brought on by her great beauty, which was unearthly. But nevertheless, all the people went mad and became infirm. Kings still came to woo her, but in the end, she gave them all the same answer. Nachma meuman. Nanach meuman. Nanach nachman. Nachma meuman. Nanach nachman meuman.